The first time you hear this story, it sounds like a fantasy, a magic ring, a man who can disappear, a life with no consequences. But the truth is darker, because the ring does not make you invisible to the world. It makes you visible to yourself. It happened in ancient Greece, in a land of wind and stone. A shepherd named Gyges lived in the hills where the grass was thin and the sky felt close. His days were simple. Follow the flock, count the sheep, listen to the bells, sleep when the sun fell behind the ridge. And like most ordinary men, he carried an ordinary dream. If only I had more respect, more comfort, more power, more life than this. One season, the rain came hard. Not gentle rain, the kind that turns dirt into black paste and makes the mountains groan. Lightning split the sky. Thunder rolled through the valley like something alive. That night, the earth shook. A crack opened near the pasture, wide as a doorway, deep as a throat. In the morning, Gyges walked to the edge and looked down. Cold air rose from the darkness, the kind of air that smells like old rock and forgotten things. He should have walked away, but curiosity is a quiet demon. So he tied a rope to a cedar stump and lowered himself into the earth. Down he went, past wet stone, past roots, past silence, until his feet touched a cavern floor. And there, in the gloom, he found something that did not belong to the earth. A bronze horse, hollow, cracked open, like a relic left for a different age. Inside it was a body. Not rotting, not decayed, preserved in a way that made Gyges' skin tighten. And on the body's hand was a ring. A simple ring, no jewels, no shine, just a band of metal that felt strangely warm when he touched it. Gyges took it. He climbed out of the crack. He brushed mud from his robe. He went back to his sheep, and he forgot about it. Until the day it changed everything. Weeks later, a messenger came from the city. The king demanded that shepherds and farmers gather to report on the land. Gyges joined the crowd. They stood in a courtyard under tall pillars. The air smelled like dust and olive oil. Men whispered. Guards watched. Gyges stood at the edge, unnoticed. Just another poor man. While officials spoke, he turned the ring on his finger, absent-mindedly. And something strange happened. A guard's eyes passed over him and did not stop. A nobleman stepped back, nearly bumping into him, then frowned like he felt a cold draft. Gyges looked down. His body was still there, but the world was acting like it wasn't. He twisted the ring again, and suddenly, a guard barked, "Hey, move!" as if Gyges had returned from thin air. Again, twist, silence. Again, twist. Reality returned. Gyges didn't smile. He felt something colder. A door had opened. And behind that door was the part of the human mind most people never admit exists. The part that asks, what would you do if no one could see you?
At first, Gyges did not steal gold. He stole something worse. One night, invisible, he wandered into a small house near the market. A poor woman sat on the floor, head bowed, hands trembling. She was whispering a prayer, not a loud prayer, not a show, a private one, like a wound. Gyges stood in the corner, unseen, listening. Her voice cracked. Tears fell onto the clay tiles. He should have left. Instead, he stayed, and something shifted inside him. Not triumph, not even greed, a strange power, because he had taken a moment that did not belong to him. He walked out into the night feeling heavier, and yet the ring whispered, "No one stopped you, no one punished you, no one even knew." That is how the ring begins to train the soul. Then came the smaller things. He walked through the market unseen. He listened to secrets behind curtains. He entered rooms meant only for the rich. And when he finally stole coins, it felt almost harmless compared to what he had already taken. Each time his fear rose, then fell. Nothing happened. And that's when his reasoning began to rot. Gyges started to think, maybe rules only exist because people are watching. And once that thought takes root, it grows fast. Soon he didn't just take money, he took access. He stood behind tapestries while generals planned wars. He listened while judges accepted bribes. He watched nobles laugh about the poor as if they were insects. And he learned a terrifying truth. The world was not as noble as it pretended to be. That discovery became his excuse. If they are corrupt, he told himself, then why should I be good? This is how people fall, not from evil, from justification. One night, the palace held a feast. Music spilled into the streets, torches burned, wine flowed like a river. Gyges slipped inside unseen. He walked through halls of marble and gold. He felt the heat of power all around him. And then he saw the king. The king sat high, laughing, full of meat and certainty, a man who had never lived as a shadow. Gyges stared at him, and a thought rose like smoke. That life could be mine. Not tomorrow, not in a dream, now. And with the ring, it did not feel like rebellion. It felt like destiny. Later that night, when the palace fell quiet, Gyges moved through dark corridors like a thought that could not be stopped. He reached the king's chamber. The king was asleep, mouth slightly open, hand relaxed on the blanket. Not a symbol, not a throne, just a human body. Gyges stood beside him for a long time. Minutes turned into an hour. He argued with himself in the dark. This is wrong. But then another voice answered. Wrong is just a word people use when they are weak. He watched the king breathe. In, out, in, out.
And then the most poisonous thought arrived. He is just meat, and I am unseen. For him, the world has rules. For me, the world has none. In that moment, Gyges stopped feeling like a man. He started feeling like a god. And gods do not ask permission. He took the throne. History would later call it a rise. But the story never tells you what happened after he won. So let me tell you. At first, he tasted the sweetness. People bowed, guards cleared the path, servants poured wine without being asked. Everything he wanted arrived. And yet, something else arrived too. Something heavy. Because the ring had taught him a truth. A man without witnesses can become anything, including a monster. And now Gyges was surrounded by people, but he trusted no one, because he knew what people do when they think no one is watching. Every smile looked like a mask. Every compliment sounded like a knife hidden in velvet.
So he began to do something insane. He attended his own banquets, invisible. Picture it. A hall full of nobles, gold plates, bright music, forced laughter. And at the head of the room, his throne. Empty. A chair no one dared to look at for too long, because they all knew he was somewhere in the room, watching, listening, close enough to hear every breath. So the guests spoke carefully. They smiled too much. Their hands shook when they lifted their cups. Even joy became a performance. And Gyges, invisible among them, felt something he did not expect. Not power, loneliness. Because when you become a hidden watcher, you stop being human. You become a shadow, haunting your own life. Years passed. One evening, Gyges stood alone on a balcony. Below him, the city glowed with lamps. The sea wind carried the scent of salt. Somewhere, a flute played, a soft, distant song. And for a brief moment, he remembered the hills, the sheep bells, the clean sleep of an honest body, the simple tiredness that did not need a crown to justify it. He looked at the ring, and he realized something no magic could undo. The ring didn't ruin his life. It revealed him. Because the real question was never, would you steal if you were invisible? The real question is, who are you when no one can reward you for being good? And the answer is not a philosophy. It is your character. So here is the lesson hidden inside this myth. The world's laws can stop your hands, but only your conscience can stop your heart. If you need an audience to be kind, then you are not kind. You are performing. If you need punishment to be honest, then you are not honest. You are afraid. The strongest morality is not the one enforced by society. It is the one you carry alone in the dark. And maybe that is why this story still matters now. Because today many people wear invisible rings, a screen, a fake account, a hidden browser tab, a private lie, a place where no one sees them. And every day the ring asks the same question. What will you do when you feel unseen? If you want a life with peace, be careful what you do in secret, because secrecy doesn't just hide actions, it trains the soul. So if you ever feel tempted by the invisible ring, remember Gyges. He got everything and lost the only thing that makes everything worth having, a mind that can rest. Because the ring never tested the world, it tested him. And it will test you too.